Mother ends 60-year search for long-lost son with final Hail Mary move. It's not easy being separated from someone you feel a connection with, especially when you don't know anything about their current circumstances. Considering the number of people who are adopted, it's not as uncommon a condition as you might think. When one mother thought she'd tried everything possible to find her son, she'd all but given up hope years ago. But things change over time. Some things that were previously impossible aren't anymore. Young mother. When Bobby Sayers was just 17 years old, she found herself in an unenviable position of being a pregnant high schooler. She'd grown up in Pittsburgh in a different time. Born just before the end of World War II, a time when teen pregnancies were frowned upon, even more so than today. Not in my house. Back then you didn't do that, the 74-year-old Bobby said. You didn't have babies. The pregnancy was unplanned and the father was out of the picture, adding to the stigma. Bobby had wanted to bring her baby home and raise her no matter the consequences, but her father was adamantly against it. Life goes on. When her son was born, she named him Paul Joseph, held him for one day, then was forced to give him up for adoption. Even though Bobby moved on with her life, graduating from high school and getting married a few years later, changing her last name to Vance, she never forgot about the son she'd given up. Searching. Bobby and her husband tried to find Paul, but the adoption was closed and they never got anywhere. Over the years, they had some children of their own and moved, first to Hawaii, then Arizona, and finally to Lewiston, Idaho. Still, no matter where she went, Bobby carried the memory of her son. Growing up separately. From time to time, Bobby made an attempt to locate Paul, but with each passing decade, the chances of seeing him again seemed more and more remote. She thought about where he would be at certain stages of his life, graduating from high school, getting married, having children of his own. A lifetime apart. Nearly 60 years, enough for a full lifetime, had passed before Bobby had a glimmer of hope. She'd submitted a sample of her DNA to Ancestry.com in hopes that her estranged son had done the same. In 2018, she got a phone call. Second search. At the same time as Bobby had been searching for her son, a man who went by Dave Wenner had been searching for his biological mother. The 57-year-old was a light rail vehicle operator who'd lived in Pittsburgh his whole life. During that time, he'd felt a void, even though his adoptive family was great. A longing. You really can't understand. My mom and dad took great care of me, but I always wanted to know. They're upstanding people, and people would say, "What happened to Dave? He's adopted." Dave said, "I'm not like them. I'm the wild one." My other name. David started looking for his biological family back in 1983, after he finished serving in the Navy. He was able to get his original birth certificate just before Pennsylvania changed its adoption policy in 1984 to seal records. He learned that his adoptive parents had changed his name, which was originally Paul, and his mother's last name was Sayers. Long shot. But even with that information, he wasn't able to find Bobby since she'd taken her husband's last name and moved away. But after sending his DNA sample to Ancestry.com, Dave got a message from a man who, according to his genetic profile, had a high probability of being his biological cousin. Colorful language. He said, "I have a cousin who was given up for adoption whose first name was Paul," Dave recalled. I said something to the effect of "Holy frijoles." Just like Dave, his newfound cousin was fast-talking, sarcastic, and had a wild sense of humor. All Sayers traits, apparently. "Hi, Mom." The cousin, Bobby's nephew, told her he'd found the long-lost son she'd been looking for and arranged a video chat between them. "Hi, Mom," Dave said. "Hi, Dave," Bobby replied. "You gave me the name Paul," he said. "No, your name is Dave," she said. Double Dave. In a quirky twist of fate, another of Bobby's sons was named David. Dave also gained 3 sisters that day: Sherry, Lori, and Holly. Dave's new siblings organized a surprise for their mother, flying him out to meet Bobby in person on Labor Day weekend of 2018. In person. It had been more than 57 years since the two had seen each other in person, and the experience was somewhat overwhelming. "Oh my God, I couldn't believe it," Bobby said. "Look at him. I gave birth to him." Definitely related. There was no doubt that Dave was related to them, especially considering the strong resemblance between him and David. "He's the other brother's twin," said Lori. "The other brother talks fast too. He looks exactly like his uncles too." Minor letdown. "I was kind of hoping they were rich," said Dave, ever the jokester. "They're regular people like me. They're all like me." Though he'd never really felt alienated with his adopted family, he felt a different kind of belonging with his new one. Shared hobby. The family spent the weekend taking Dave around, introducing him to their friends and families. They went and took in some of the local Lewiston sites and went shooting together at the local gun range, a pastime they had in common. Let's look too. The entire encounter inspired some of the other members of the Vance family to have their DNA tested in order to look more closely at their roots. Both of their paternal grandparents had been adopted, so their lineage was somewhat of a mystery. No big shocker. There was nothing all that shocking in the family's results that came close to finding Dave. "We're less Italian than we thought," Lori said. "Hardly as shocking as finding a long-lost relative." One to go. Dave Weiner hugs his birth mother, Bobby Vance of Lewiston, after reuniting through a recent Ancestry DNA test. As for Dave, he regularly scans the Ancestry.com site looking for other potential connections to his genetic profile. He hopes to one day find his biological father as well. Check out these other videos from Let Me Know. If you haven't made the move to subscribe to our channel, all you need to do is click on that red subscribe button. Thank you for watching.